Hello everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel and welcome to my WIP parade slash what I'm going to be working on in 2026. And I am going to start off by saying that this is not going to be all of my actual projects. And so I think it was a year and a half ago, I decided I wanted to try and whip down and get my number of projects down. And I have improved. I think when I started, I was at like 35 whips and I'm currently at 30. But the problem is I like a lot of large projects and I also like full coverage projects, which tend to take a long time to finish. And I've recently realized that I usually would try and work on all 30 of my whips throughout the year, like try and do like 1,000 stitches into each one, or just try and work on them all in the year. But doing that, I've realized, is not going to get things finished, which is what I want. I want to get things finished. I want to get my number of projects down. And so in 2026, what I'm going to be trying to do is I picked 10 of my whips that are going to be focused on this year. And as I finish things, then I will rotate in different projects. So this is just going to be the whips that I'm going to be working on in 2026. If you would like to see all 30 of my whips, you can watch my previous whip parade from 2025 because it's relatively the same because a lot of my whips have been worked on for years. And so what I have kind of decided, I made a list. And what I did is I picked projects that don't have a lot of stitches left. So like the first 5 projects, I think it is, don't have a lot of stitches left. They're smaller and some of them are it's laughably what I think is small. So like you'll see when I start going into it. And so what I did is I picked projects that are small and then I also picked a replacement. So like if this gets finished, then I have a replacement project that I will rotate in. So I will kind of always have 10 whips that I'm working on. And then at the bottom, I placed projects that are large. They're not going to be finished anytime soon, but they're favorites. So I'm going to have things that are small that I want to finish, plus my favorites. And then at the very bottom, I have a seasonal project. So every season I will rotate through a project and that way I can still get like seasonal variety because in the fall, I want to work on a fall project and in the winter, I want to work on like a Christmassy project. And so I'm hoping that by just picking 10 projects, I will be able to make good progress on all of these projects. I am going to be trying to work on them all monthly. So every month I want to work on all 10 of these projects at least once. And so yeah, I'm just really hoping that I can make good progress on these pieces. And it is kind of sad that I won't be working on my other projects, but like I said, my end goal is to whip down, and I think this is the best way to get to that end goal of whipping down and getting my whip number lower. So I have all of my whips pulled out. These are all the whips that I will be working on throughout the year. And so it's kind of nice because I have my other projects in a shelf. And if I wanted to, I could really put them away because I don't have any plan of working on them this year coming up. So the first one I'm going to start off with is Merry Mushroom Village Picnic number 3. This was the Haid 2024 stitch along, and I will insert pictures of what things will look like finished and all that. And this one is on 28 count 2/1 tent stitch, which is a half cross, and it only has 25,000 stitches left. So if I were to focus on this, hopefully I could get this finished relatively fast. And then my plan for this one is that once it's finished, I would pull in the project Lord of the Rings, which I'll insert the artwork, which is from Glitch Stitch AU. And that is a small project too that only has 24,000 stitches left. So I would kind of take a small project, replace it with a similar project. So the second one is Fables. This is artwork by Medusa Dollmaker. It was charted by Gecko Rouge, but it's no longer available from Gecko Rouge. And this is my starting point on Fables. I have 58,000 stitches left, so it's a lot of stitches, but this is on a, I think 28 count, 2/1 half cross, so half cross does go faster than doing a full cross. And then my plan is work on this one, and then once this is finished, I would rotate in. I am just stuck between two projects for this one. So I have two projects that are both small. So I have Fables, and then I also have a project called Mini Masquerade Pale Dawn, which is by Heaven and Earth Designs. And they're both a similar, like, they don't use a lot of colors. They're kind of like the black and white. This one is more of like blue and grays, but they're like similar in concept of they use minimal colors, and they are both small, and they both have like a girl's face in it. So they're very similar. So I can't decide if when I finish Fables one day, if I would switch in Mini Masquerade Pale Dawn, which is by Heaven and Earth Designs, or if I would go for switching it out for a Gecko Rouge, because I have another Gecko Rouge chart that I am stitching, and put Piper Boy in its place. So once this gets finished eventually, I have two different things that I might replace it with, just depending on, I think, what I am in the mood for, because one of them is colorful and then one of them is not. So the third project is Dragon Hall, which is by Long Dog Sampler. And I picked this one because it is my smaller Long Dog Sampler. I currently have a couple Long Dog Samplers on the go, but because this one is I only have 24,000 stitches left, I was like, this is the easiest one to get finished. And then once it's finished, I will replace it with Pointed Fifth, which is another Long Dog Sampler. So here is Dragon Hall, and I did do my own colors on this chart because I had a bunch of anchor floss that I wanted to use up, and so I replaced a lot of the colors, and I'm just doing whatever I want on this one color wise. I also am using some leftover silk that I had from other Long Dog samplers, so this color here is a silk. I think I also have like some purpley silks in there too. So this one is really fun, and this is one that's on a dyed fabric that is from the sewingshop.ca. It's called Iron Ore, and it's a 20 count, and I am doing it 1/1 full cross. And yeah, this fabric, gorgeous. I love the fabric. So like I said though, this one is nice because it's a smaller Long Dog sampler, so whenever it's finished, I will replace it with another Long Dog sampler. The next one, project number 4, is Pokemon Switch. This is from Glitch Stitch AU on Etsy, and this is a smaller chart, and it only has 7,000 stitches left. And here is where I'm at. And this is on 18 count, 2/1 full cross. I am stitching it on a piece of fabric that has other charts, so I have some characters from Bleach. There is going to be Sailor Venus over here, but right now my focus is on Pokemon Switch. And then once I finish Pokemon Switch, I can't decide if I want to start working on Sailor Venus over here or replace this one with Epic Pokemon, which I am stitching Gen 1 of Epic Pokemon from Lord Libidin. The last one that is like my finishes to eventually replace is Witcher, which is from Thread Geeks, yes, but it's retired. They're retiring a whole bunch of their charts at the end of the year, and I'm currently filming this on December 31st, so by the time this goes up, it will most likely be retired. And Witcher has 68,000 stitches left, which, yes, it's a lot, but it is on a 25 count, I think, 2/1 half cross. And once I finish with Witcher, I would like to replace this chart with Yennefer because, you know, they're from the same universe. The Witcher games, show, books, whichever way you want to read or like consume the Witcher universe. And so he is closer to being finished though, because Yennefer is a larger chart, so there are more stitches that go into her. So I'm going to try and focus on getting Witcher finished, and then I would work on Yennefer. So now we are getting into the larger charts. These are the favorites that I just wanted to like work on because, you know, I want to work on my favorite things. And I feel like there's not going to be surprises. So the first one is Cozy Winter Book Nook, which is still on a hoop because I was working on her recently. And Cozy Winter Book Nook is artwork by Rose Kahn, charted by Pain Free Crafts, and it's a very large chart. It's over 500,000 stitches. I started in this corner, I worked my way over and was stitching in the clock, and then now I have been stitching in the window. And so I just really want to make more progress on this because I know that if I'm ever going to get this finished, I need to work on it a lot to get it finished. This is on 25 count, 2/1 half cross. And so I'm just gonna, you know, be pulling her out every month and just trying to get some stitches done on it anywhere I want, because my plan is to just work around. And this chart has so many things that like seasonally I could probably find different things for like different seasons, you know? And so that's going to be a fun one. And then the next one is Rose Library, which is artwork by Ivy Dollamore, charted by Unconventional X Stitch, and it's another one that is retired, unfortunately. And here is where I am on this one. This is a smaller chart because I think this is only like 200,000 stitches or something like that. And I am excited to work on this. I love the colors. It's got a lot of bright colors. It also has a lot of things everywhere, so I feel like I won't get bored stitching on it. And this is on a 25 count, 2/1 half cross. So looking forward to seeing more done on her. And then, did I mention Dragon Race Into the Night? I feel like I skipped over that. So I'm also going to be working on Dragon Race Into the Night, which is my most recent start. I started it on Christmas Eve, and this is artwork from Rose Kahn, charted by Pain Free Crafts. And I started it Christmas Eve, and since Christmas Eve, I have already finished the first page and I have started working on page 2. And I will say that the pages on this chart are smaller than Heaven and Earth design pages. I think it's only like 50 stitches wide, whereas a page on a Heaven and Earth designs chart is I think like 80 stitches wide. So they are quite a bit smaller pages. But there are 153 pages in this chart. So this is another big one. But I really want to just keep working on it because I love the colors and the artwork, and I want to see this one get done eventually. And this is another 500,000 stitch chart, so I'm just going to keep working on it this year, see what happens. And then this one I feel like might be somewhat of a surprise, and that is Dark Cinderella, which is another one by Pain Free Crafts. So I just realized that I think I have like 3 charts that are by Pain Free Crafts. And I think part of it is I really love their charting, because an example is like this one, it doesn't have as much black. Like they get a lot of details in their charts. And yes, they are large, but I like the fact that you don't lose a lot of details. Anyways, so Dark Cinderella is by Barrett Biggers, I think. And I don't have a lot done on it. And I think that's part of why I want to focus on it, is because this chart, I love the way that it's arranged with like the flowers on one side, and then you have the outline of the face, and then there's things in it, and then you have the castle that's on the other side. So I really just want to see what this one looks like stitched. And so I think that's part of why I picked it. And I know that I don't really talk about it as much as like Rose Library, where I'm always like, I love it. But I really want to see what this one is going to look like finished. This is also on a different fabric count. It's on a 32 count, 1/1 half cross. So it also gives me a little bit of variety in my fabric counts because I have a lot of 25 and 28 count. And so this, you know, will give me a 32 count. And yeah, I just want to see what this one will look like. I want to see more of the details show up, and it is large, so I know that it needs like attention to get anywhere on that. And now I have my last category, which is seasonal, because I still want to be able to do things based on the season. Like when it's winter, I really want to stitch on a nice Christmassy chart. during the summer, I don't have a ton of spring summer charts, so I just kind of stuck things in there that kind of went with those seasons. And so hold on, I need to grab those because they're still in bags. So it's winter currently, which means that I will be keeping out my winter project, which I ended up picking Christmas 2 for my winter project. It's my largest Christmas chart, which probably I should have picked a smaller one because then I could get it finished eventually. Whereas this is gonna be something I work on for a very long time. And Christmas 2 is artwork by Ciro Marchetti, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I don't have a lot in on it, and I really just want to see more done because I mentioned in my Flossmas videos that there is a snow globe down farther in this chart, and I want to see it. I want to see more of the snow globe. I also love the colors because it's just, there's a lot of bright colors coming up, and so that's why I decided to keep this, is the colors and just having a lot of things, because if I am working on these things for a long period of time, I want it to be things that are going to keep me engaged and not get bored. And it also will work for like if I do different games and I need like prompts, you know, if I start doing like stitchy games where it's like stitch on something with a book or with this, that. These charts have a lot of varieties of things, I feel like. So also this one is a 32 count 1/1 half cross, and I am using CXC floss, which does give better coverage compared to like Dark Cinderella. I feel like the coverage with the dark colors isn't amazing. Hold on. I feel like you can see more fabric through in this section with the dark colors than you do on Christmas 2, but it's also hard to tell like on camera. It's easier to see it in person, but there's a lot more fabric that shows through on Dark Cinderella than on Christmas 2. So that is my winter project. In spring, I don't have, like I said, I don't really have a lot of springy things, and so I picked the chart Sanctuary, which is charted by Charting Creations. I think the artwork is by Sheila Wolk, and I picked it just because it has like some like fairies and flowers and stuff, so it's kind of got a spring look to it. And I don't have a lot in on it. Where is it? I have stuff everywhere. I don't have a lot in on this chart, so we're gonna start with that. And I started it a few years ago, so it needs attention. A lot of my things need attention, which is really why, like I said, I just was like, I'm gonna narrow it down to 10 things, work on those 10 things, and hopefully at the end of the year they all have a good amount of progress, because I realized when I was looking through my stuff from like my WIP parade last year and where things are at now, so much of it looks so similar. And so it's like, it's not working. Something's not working. I gotta change something. So here's Sanctuary. This is on 28 count, 2/1 half cross. And this one is kind of a pain to see, but luckily if I'm stitching it in spring, there will be more light, and light will help because I am stitching a lot of light colors on light fabric, which is never very fun. But yeah, the colors on this are, again, fun colors. Love that. And then my summer project, the only thing that I had that I was like, summary, is Drinks on the Beach, which was the Haid 2025 stitch along. It's artwork by Lars Stewart. I am not sure where it is. It's right over here. So here's where I'm at on Drinks on the Beach. This is on 32 count 1/1 half cross. This is a smaller chart. I think it's under 100,000 stitches, so it could be finished eventually. I don't know where I'm at stitch count wise on this. I don't remember. But yeah, so this is my summer chart. This will be fun because it's got lots of fun colors, and it's on the 32 count to give variety. And then the last one is Walking in the Rain for fall. So Walking in the Rain is a chart from Artisy. I am stitching the large cropped version, and here is what I have done so far on this one. And this one is another, I love the colors and everything on it. And it's on a 25 count 2/1 half cross. And so yeah, this will be fun to work on in the fall. I'm also not sure seasonally how I'm going to switch, because technically fall here starts like September 20th, somewhere around there. I think I might change the days a little bit to where like I'm gonna start stitching on a fall piece like September 1st, and so my summer piece would start June 1st instead of June 20th, because that's to me when I think of the seasons kind of changing a little bit, you know? So I think I might like fudge the seasons around a little bit, move them around a little bit, and stitch on them when I feel like it should be changing. And so for winter, I would start stitching my winter piece like starting December 1st, because winter doesn't technically start until December, I think 20th, which to me is too late. You know, I want to be stitching my Christmassy winter pieces on December 1st. So that is one thing that I will also be trying to make a note of in like my journal or planner, so I remember when I want to change my seasonal pieces in and out. But yeah, that's it. That is all for cross stitching, at least. So that is all that I have for this video. Like I said, if you want to see all my other WIPs, the 30 other WIPs, I do have a WIP parade from the beginning of 2025. And then I also have a video that was right before my Flossmas, where I went through all of my WIPs to pick out which ones would be part of my Flossmas video. So there are other videos that show all of the WIPs, but I'm just going to be focusing on these 10. So if you would like to see me try and get some of these things finished and try and make some good progress on these projects, then stick around. And I will be back in the next week or two with an update video. Thank you everyone for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!